Kenny Smith, three-time Sports Emmy-nominated analyst, TNT Inside the NBA, and he's written a book, Talk of Champions. TNT will present extensive second round and exclusive Eastern Conference Finals live game coverage coming up. Good to see you again, Kenny. You wrote a book. How long has this been in the works?
It took about maybe 11 months to write, 10 to 11 months to write. It was very interesting because when I first told Charles and Shaq, I'm like, I'm writing a book and it's a tell-all book. And they were like, wait, what are you talking about? I was like, no, but it's actually, it's a book, tell-all book about all the great things I learned from great people, and you guys are part of it. And what I did then was, instead of like having chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's each chapter is named after a specific person. Dean Smith, Bill Russell, Jordan, like all the people that I took for granted that everybody had those type of people in their life. And I'm like, I was writing it then, and I'm sending in chapters, and the editor goes, do you realize like every chapter you're sending someone, they have a book writing about their life already? And I was like, I have a daily interaction if I want to with these people. And I just want people to understand why, feel better about themselves when they read it and go, oh, that's what makes me successful when I do that the way Jordan did it, or whomever.
Well, you had a chapter when you went to Sacramento and you talked about Bill Russell's impact on you, and I loved it because it was his impact on you as a man, not necessarily as a player. And you would want wisdom from Bill Russell, the greatest winner of all time, but there's so much more wisdom that he imparted.
Yeah, and that's why he's the greatest winner, because the winning is not just in one aspect of his life. And in the book I talked about it. We were sitting on a plane, like one of the stories, we were sitting on a plane, and he was the general manager and the president of the team and the coach. So, a lot of responsibilities. And he's looking at this sheet, and my job as a rookie, I had to sit next to him on every plane ride and every bus ride. And so that was my rule, his rule. And he's looking at these players in Yugoslavia, all over the place. And I go, Coach, there's not a better player in Alabama or the same. Like, you're flying all the way over to Yugoslavia. And he stopped me right there, and he's like, Kenny, as an African-American, you can never not want inclusion. And I'm going, whoa. Like, he took a moment that I was casually joking about and gave me a life lesson, and that was him. And, so same thing with like I said, with Michael and Charles. Like, some of these things are not most of them are not basketball lessons. It's the way I shape myself as a parent, financially, everything.
Jordan is always fascinating because you both went to North Carolina. Your paths crossed. He goes to baseball. You end up winning 2 NBA championships. How often does Jordan bring up, if he didn't go play baseball, you'd have no NBA titles?
Well, first of all, he did come back. He was wearing number 45. And when he had 55 points in Madison Square Garden, nobody was talking about he was rusty, only until the Orlando Magic beat him. Then they're like, oh, he's rusty. So no, he was back. But I just think that, of course, in his heart, he's going to believe that. But I just think that our teams would have beat them. And I don't think that there's no 8-year champions. That means he would have won 8 straight titles.
You don't think they would have won 8 straight?
No, I don't think it. And the documentary proved it, because there was so much internal things. That's why Horace Grant left. And so the fact that when Horace Grant, people forget those 2 years, there was no Dennis Rodman and no Horace Grant. That's why they lost to Shaquille and Orlando. They were too small. It wasn't that Jordan wasn't the greatest basketball player we still had seen. Like, they were just too small. And they had no one that was big enough or good enough to guard Akeem at those 2 years. And I think we would have won because of that, not because of not the lack of Jordan's greatness. There was no Grant. And then Rodman comes 2 years later.
Yeah.
Then they go on that second three-peat run. Now, if they had those two guys, I might be scratching my head. Yeah, you know what? I'm glad he went to baseball.
A better center in your mind, Akeem or Shaq?
Ooh. I mean, I don't know if it's better, but what was better for me would have been Akeem. Like, because of the style of play that he played. It allowed me to kind of still, be flourish and do things that I do. I think Shaq is so dominant that, at times, you become, your role just keeps decreasing. So for me, it's just better playing with a king. I would say that. So for me, I would take a king.
I know that LeBron with social media, there's more people that move in for the kill, and they're more critical with him. I'm wondering if they had social media, would they have gone after Jordan the same way? It feels like social media, it's either they're with LeBron or they're against LeBron. It felt like everybody back when Mike played, even if he was coming to your town, you went to see Mike, and it was okay if he beat your team. I wonder how he would have done with social media and vice versa.
It would be scary with Michael with social media, because his popularity would be through he was already the most recognizable face in the world.
Yeah.
He's musically what I think I said this the other day. He's like, he musically was what Michael Jackson was. Like, people would faint when they just saw him. Like, and social media would have only expanded that for him, because he was the first that we hadn't seen what he was doing. We had never seen that. We seen a taste of it with Dr. J, but we had never seen what Michael was doing. And social media would have just exploded that even more on it. So yeah, it would have been scary how popular he would have been if social media was there. LeBron, as great as he is, when he's at his greatest, he's taking a piece of something we've already seen.
Yeah.
So that's what separates Michael.
We're talking to Kenny Smith. The book is Talk of Champions, a three-time Sports Emmy nominated analyst. Mike Greenberg brought this up, that maybe the Lakers should rest their starters tonight, completely rest them. I wasn't sure.
Against who?
against goal. And I didn't want to take it out of context, but I was thinking, could you imagine? First of all, the commissioner wouldn't allow that. Second of all, LeBron's not going to allow that. If you're down by 18 in the fourth quarter, then you can rest them. But could you imagine if the Lakers actually said, you know what, we're going to sit AD and LeBron and rest them for Game 6?
That would be the most arrogant display of disrespect of your opponent that would ever be in the history of basketball. That, when we talk about respecting your opponent in the game, that would take it to such a level of insanity. And I'm not saying he's insane who said it. I'm saying the action of that is insane, because what if in Game 6, you think you're that much better than a team, and in Game 6, the first play of the game, AD twists his ankle.
Yeah.
Then what?
Yeah.
And the other thing about this, the next 2 out of the next 3 games, if you can get to a Game 7, are in Golden State.
Yeah.
So they are a bad road team, but they're not a bad home team. So no way would you do that. That would be insanity. Like, and then might as well, let's add some more fuel to it and let them go to Vegas to blow off some steam while they sit out that.
But Harden got to go to Vegas. I know Rodman got to go to Vegas.
Right, exactly. So let's add that to the equation. Take a day off, LeBron and AD. Go to Vegas, come back, and we'll see you later.
Did you ever take a charge on Shaq or Charles?
I never took a charge, but I have with Shaq. The ball was like a loose ball, and I didn't see him, and he dove for the ball.
Oh, boy.
And he hit me and landed, like half of his body landed on my shoulder and my arms. And I got a rug burn from the floor based on his strength that lasted 3 weeks. I literally had to wear a pad in practice, because I couldn't do it in a game, but I had to wear a pad in practice because it was so tender, because of his force that made me. He's an incredibly huge human being.
Yes, he is. But Yao Ming is bigger than Shaq.
I don't think he had the same force even when he was as big.
Yeah.
Like, Shaq's force was still bigger than Yao Ming.
Good luck with the book, and we'll be watching Eastern Conference Finals. They'll have the live game coverage. The book is Talk of Champions. He's Kenny Smith. Thank you, Kenny. Good to talk to you again.
Man, good talking to you, my brother.
All right. Phone calls coming up. Yeah, the chapter about Bill Russell I found really interesting because I'm fascinated with Bill Russell, the man.